trying to see which way the current's taking me to the back. It's a remote. Where's the remote? Where's the remote? Go out. Pal, here, come here. Get the rod. Woohoo! Go, buddy.
Is that your first AJ, dude?
Oh, yeah.
Things fight good, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
That's one way to fight seasickness right there, baby. What you think you got, bud? Big AJ?
Yeah, what you got, buddy? Need that rod.
There you go. Yes, sir. Fish. Put him in a box. All right.
Oh, yeah, here you go. That's a big one. Come here, come here.
Oh, yeah.
Come here.
Everybody done tapped out but Wes. This some guy's a machine. Engaged. Yeah. Look at that beautiful fish. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Real Fisherman Show. We are in the midst of some flood conditions. We're getting a lot of rain off of Hurricane Debbie, and things are a lot of people aren't fishing right now. If you go fishing, if you went fishing today, if you go fishing tomorrow, in the next several days, there's probably not going to be as many people fishing. A lot of rain, a lot of torrential downpouring, a lot of flooding. People are assuming that fishing isn't good. But from my experience, let me tell you right now, fishing in flood conditions, some of the best fishing you'll ever do in your life. A lot of people love that muddy water. If you go to the Lake Norman Facebook group, there are lots of guys in there that talk about how good the fishing is when the water's muddy. Lake Wiley, when the water's muddy, you fish up in the river portion on Wiley, you're going to catch a lot of catfish. One of the best days I've ever had on Lake Wiley was right there in front of the 74 bridge during flood conditions. Water looked like tomato soup, and I'm catching at least 10 fish in the 20 plus pound range on grocery store baits. You know, when that water is like tomato soup, they're going more on smell. And grocery store baits has a lot of smell. So if you're a boneless, skinless, garlic chicken guy, then right now is your time to shine. You can get out there and catch some really good fish on grocery store baits right now. But I think what's happening is, you know, you're having a lot of. There's Wes. Oh,
Please removed yourself. I paused the movie.
Hey, Wes, welcome to the show, brother.
What's going on, buddy?
We're a little late tonight. My wife she's a K-5 school teacher, and she's in there preparing her. She's doing something with preparing for her school.
That's awesome.
What? Lesson plans. She's in there doing her lesson plans. So I postponed the show. I didn't want to interrupt her. So I gave her a little extra.
Being a teacher, people talk about teachers. it ain't teaching kids. I don't think it's as hard. It's dealing with the damn parents.
I think Angel would agree with that. What do you think, Angel? Is which is harder, teaching kids or dealing with their parents? Yep, you are correct, Wes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that job.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I'm just a mule. Just give me some manual labor. Give me a badge. Let me clock in. Let me do my 8 hours. Let me go out to my truck and drive home and drink some alcohol and go to bed and get up and do it all over again. That's me. That's what I do. But we've been having
and leave and go to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Wes just, you can't hide money. Wes has got him a new place on Lake Greenwood in South Carolina. If you're not familiar with Lake Greenwood I always thought it was a small impoundment, but didn't you say it was like over 11,000 acres?
Yes, about 11,000.
I guess it's small by South Carolina standards, but by North Carolina standards, 11,000 acres is a significant reservoir. For example, Lake Wiley is 12,000 acres, 12,500 acres, I think. So it's about the size of Lake Wiley. That's a pretty decent sized reservoir. What I've recently found out about some South Carolina, speaking of South Carolina reservoirs, is Lake Hartwell has, and there's a lot of guys that would 100% disagree with me, but it seems as if Lake Hartwell is becoming somewhat of a trophy blue and flathead catfish lake. I've been seeing some flatheads, some big flatheads. I'm talking 40 plus pounders and 40 plus pound blues coming out of Lake Hartwell. And Wes, you're only 30 minutes from that lake. And I know that lake is a southern reservoir that it gets hot in the summer, and it's kind of hard to sustain. It's not a trophy striper fishery like it used to be 20 years ago. But they still stock stripers. The stripers are still in there. But it seems as though Hartwell's coming somewhat the trophy catfishery. What do you think about that, Wes?
Well, I meant to bring this up one time on the show last year we were talking about Hartwell. And, you said used to be a trophy striper fishery, and it was. Mm-hmm. So my thing is what changed? Was it the way they managed the water? Was it from where they let the lake down so low and this fish kill, that fish kill? Is it the guides? How did that fish sustain 35, 40, 45, 50 pound fish for years? And then all of a sudden, a couple of years go by and it's just like it goes to shit. It stayed good for all those years, and then it's overnight it just went to shit.
You know how weather works. Yeah, I remember I'm going to say around 8 years ago, everybody started talking about El Nino.
Yeah.
The weather phenomenon. And whatever
El Nino, La Nina,
whatever
one other one.
Whatever science that you're, whatever part of science that you're on, as far as like climate change, global warming, things of that nature. I think if you were to go back, my first course of action, if I were trying to get to the bottom of that, would be I would go back, and I know that you can find this. You could go back and look at historical water temperature data. And I would try to find out what the water temp was 15, 20 years ago on average versus what it is today. Because I think that the water's heated up. I think that things have gotten hot. And I think that the same thing that's been happening on Lake Norman, the reason they stopped stocking stripers on Lake Norman, I think the same thing is happening to a much lesser extent on Hartwell. But I don't know.
Well, after our show last weekend, a gentleman called me, and I won't say his name because he don't really like to get into drama and controversy, but I'm going to bring up what he told me. And there again, this will be more along your lines because I never really studied striped bass. I just know I like to catch the bastards and I like to catch big ones. That's all I needed to know about them.
That's right.
But he says you've got two strands of striped bass, and you know what they are, correct?
Well, no, I don't. I know that Marone saxatilis is the family, the genome
the strands. You got two strands of
striped bass are in, and I know that there are different strands as far as their
two different strands. There's two different strands of striped bass.
I didn't know that there were only two. I think I assumed there were more than two.
You got the Atlantic and the Gulf.
What about the Pacific?
No, they're under the Gulf.
Under the
There's
Gulf.
no such thing as Pacific strand. They're under the Gulf.
Okay.
So anyway, what he proceeded to tell me was, he said, Wes, he said, from what I've seen about Greenwood over the years, and he used to be a guide on Lanier, but he said, he said, you need to check it. He said, I don't know 100%, but he said, we talk about these fish kills and everything, but he says the Gulf Stream strand of striped bass can take and he said it's a big difference. It can take a big difference in water temperature than the Atlantic. The Atlantic striped bass will die a whole lot quicker in warmer water than a Gulf Stream strand. He said, if I had to guess, I would say that the Gulf Stream strand is in Greenwood. And he said,
so the Gulf Stream strand can take higher thermal. They have a higher thermal tolerance. That makes sense because if you look at it, the Atlantic, you have the North Atlantic, the Mid Atlantic, and the Southern Atlantic, and you have the hot waters of the Southern Atlantic, which there are really not any stripers. Stripers used to come down as far south as North Carolina, but not so much anymore. Yeah. Then you have the Mid Atlantic, so you got the Virginia all the way down to maybe as far south as Morehead City, all the way up to north of Virginia, and then you have the Northern Atlantic strain. So that makes sense that the Gulf strain would have a higher thermal tolerance than the Atlantic strain. I think it makes perfect sense.
And he said you could ask. He said you could probably find out, but he said if I had to guess, I would say that Gulf Stream strand is probably what's in Greenwood. And he said I don't know. He said I don't follow stuff on Lake Greenwood, but he said I promise you. He said if you get in the right spot on that lake, he said if those fish are the strand I think they are, he said you catch a lot of them.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like the main migratory, the giants, the 30 plus pound stripers, the migratory sexually matures, reproductive stripers that join the migration in the Atlantic. I think that they are the biggest stripers in the world. I don't think that the Gulf strain gets anywhere near the size of the Atlantic. As far as why, maybe it has something to do with the ones in the Atlantic. They don't have to acclimate and adapt to they're not going to have the thermal tolerance that the Gulf Stream stripers have. I think they're in average cooler waters, and I think those cooler waters allow them to get bigger for a host of reasons.
It's funny how so many fish have different. I don't think you call it DNA, but it's just the way they're made up. As far as to me, I think it's amazing how one fish can swim and thrive in 85-degree water, but another fish would die.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Different species have different thermal tolerances. Yeah. I know. I'm a scientific guy, and you know me, so I would like to take some different species, and I wish I had an aquarium that was at least like 100 gallons. And then I could at least get a good water temperature test, because you could take let's say you had an aquarium and you catch let's say you catch a hybrid striped bass. Let's say you bring it home, you keep it alive, you bring it home, you put it in your aquarium. You have plenty of oxygen, excellent water quality. And this striped bass is healthy and is thriving in this 100+ gallon aquarium. Now, let's say every week, every 5 to 7 days, you increase the water temp. Let's say the water temp is 68 degrees. Let's say every week you increase the water temp by at least 1 degree every week. I would like to find out, like, let's say it was a Gulf strain hybrid striped bass. Let's find out at what temperature does that striped bass or hybrid striped bass start to get stressed.
Yeah.
At what temperature? And I would like to write that down, and I would like to keep going until he becomes belly up. And that way I would know, if I go fishing, because they sell these. Go ahead. I'll come back to this, but yeah, go ahead, Wes.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, back in my Santee days, and when I was married to my second wife, my stepdaughter's name was Jordan, and we had a pontoon boat, and I would go there in the diversion canal and let them catch bait. I said
on Santee.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
If anybody don't know what the conversion canal is, Santee, you have Lake Moultrie and Lake Marion, and you have this canal, which is very deep, and it's pretty wide. It's like the width of a very big river, and that's what connects the two reservoirs of Moultrie and Marion. Moultrie and Marion combined for over 144,000 acres. So it is a very vast area of reservoirs on both ends of this canal. Okay, go ahead, Wes. I just wanted to tell everybody what the Santee Canal was.
Okay, but anyway, I'd sit out there during the day, and that was their thing. They like to catch fish, so we'd put red worms, let them drop them down on a sabiki rig. So we caught a bunch of bait. And that Sunday we left, I dumped the bait tank out. And Junior, if I'm not mistaken, I think I had a Keeps Alive tank back then. I'm not sure, but it had a rim in it, about a 1/2 inch deep, all the way around the outside edge. So I dumped the bait tank out, and this is middle of summer. It seemed like it might have been July, August. I remember it was hot. So we left and come home. Well, when I got home, I was going to turn the bait tank upside down to wash it out. And there was a brim about that big, laying on his side, flat. Well, I reached in there to grab him, throwed him over on the boat deck. I was going to throw him down in the woods, and he flopped. I said, oh, my God. Damn, this fish is still alive. Now, I'm talking about 3.5 hour ride to my house in probably 90+ degree weather. And the water about that deep, and this fish is laying on his side. So I scoop him up. That reason I thought about this when you said aquariums. I don't know, in my house right here, we used to have an aquarium right there for the kids. It was a 50-gallon aquarium. And my wife then had a bunch. She had about $200 worth of these expensive goldfish in there. So anyway, I brought him in here and put him in the aquarium. And he just took off, started swimming around. So first of all, this blew my mind. I mean, this is a true story. So I told Jordan, I said, JJ, I said, what do you want to name your fish? And she said, let's name him Santee. So this brim's name was Santee. And when we first put him in there, he would eat at bread a little bit, and then he'd worm every now and then. So about a year or so went by, and I come home from work one day, and my wife, she said, I'm missing 2 of my goldfish. I said, well, hell, what do you mean you miss them? They just don't disappear. She said, that damn fish, he's got to go.
This I'm going to eat them.
So I said, well, listen, that's between you and Jordan. You tell Jordan if you want. She said, you should have never brought that damn fish and put him in this tank. I'm not telling her that. So anyway, by the 3rd year, she did not have a goldfish left. They were gone. But Santee got to where he would not eat nothing but fish flakes. So, we were feeding the goldfish fish flakes. Yeah. He got on that, and that's all he would eat. And one day,
hold on now. So you named the fish Santee?
Yeah, Jordan did named him Santee.
Oh man, that's an excellent name.
Yeah. Okay. So he would not, and I went, and this was a couple of years. He would not eat a worm. I put a red worm in there one time. He wouldn't touch it. I put a couple of pieces of bread in there. He wouldn't touch it. You could put them fish flakes in there, and he would just devour them. So anyway, long story short, yeah, Santee lived for 6 years.
Wow.
And when Jordan was in the 8th grade, she got up one morning to feed him. This is after me and Samantha had separated, so of course they took the fish aquarium and everything over there to her apartment. Jordan left the lid up on the tank and he had flipped out and died there in the living room. He come out of the tank, but that fish lived for 6 years in the aquarium, and he was about not quite big as my hand.
Yeah.
He was that big, but
he would have probably lived longer had he not flipped out.
Yeah. The whole amazing part of this story is that fish lived on his side in a half an inch of water for 3.5 hours in 90 degrees.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy?
That is insane.
I took my daughter fishing when she was she was very young. I would 4 years old probably. And I took her to a little pond up in Kings Mountain on 161, and we were catching bluegill. She was catching bluegill. I had a bobber using little pieces of night crawler. We were catching bluegill, and we caught one good sized bluegill, and I threw it in my cooler on ice because I was fishing at it. I was a cat fisherman at the time. I wanted to go cut bait some catfish, and anyways, she did not like that. She said she wanted to keep that fish, and she said, "Can we name it Wassy?" And I was like, "Oh." So I grabbed I had a 5-gallon bucket. I got a 5-gallon bucket, and I scooped some pond water in it, and I took that fish that had been sitting on ice for probably at least 5 minutes, and I threw it in that bucket with that much pond water in it, and it got revived. It started swimming around. I was like, all right. And we had an aquarium like you. We had an aquarium at home, and I was like, you know what? We'll keep it. We'll name it It's Lassie. That'll be our pet fish. So I brought it home, put it in the aquarium, and it lived for a couple of years. And at the time, I was a big crappie fisherman, and I was taking my minnows that I had left over from crappie fishing, and I would dump them in that aquarium, and that brim would eat every one of them. He loved crappie minnows. So I feel your pain.
But this fish lived for 6 years, dude. He was 6 years old when he died. And just like you said, I wonder how much longer he'd have lived if he hadn't flipped out of the tank.
Exactly. One of the greatest freshwater trophy striper fishermen that I know, other than the Great West Rose, is a guy named Drew Rankin.
Yeah.
And Drew Rankin, I don't know if you know this, but years ago, he started his own Facebook group. It's called like Drew's Striper Fishing or something. I can't remember the name of it, but he's got his own private Facebook group. Yeah. And he sent me, and I don't even know if he knows I'm even in there. I don't even know if the group is active anymore, but Drew at one time was posting a lot of videos in there, and he had this one video. I don't know if you ever saw it, Wes, but he's on the front of his boat, and I want to say it's at Bull Run. It's like when the steam plant at Bull Run was still producing hot water in the winter, and he was up there casting top water. I don't know if redfin, Zaraspook, whatever.
Oh no, he was in Middle Tennessee. He was at he was right there at that cable.
Well, we don't have to give away any spots, but he was casting.
Everybody knows about it anyway.
He was like walking the dog and jerking and on top water, and he was catching friggin' 40+ pound stripers like back to back to back. Like it was insane. But yeah, kind of forgot where I was going with that.
You're talking about how great a fisherman I am.
Anyways, thermal tolerances on fish. It's crazy. Right now, we got a lot of flood conditions. I went last weekend. Let me tell you what happened to me. So I went Saturday night. Me and Alan. You remember Alan Oliver?
I don't remember Alan.
His brother. He's got a brother named Wes.
I just shared a post with him tonight. His first TV, he called me.
I saw that. Yeah,
dude, that was a big fish.
That was a big fish. It's on his wall, and it's enormous. But me and his brother went fishing, and I fell in the lake for the first time in my life. I fell in the lake. Me and him went out there. We caught some bait. We got to our first spot.
Hey, Thomas.
Double anchored on our first spot. I went up to the front of the boat. I hooked a live brim, and I went to cast that live brim out, and I lost my balance and I went in the lake. And
Backwards.
forwards, it ruined my phone. So I have a very crappy phone now. Right now, I'm kind of in between phones. Had my wallet in my pocket. It was embarrassing. Luckily, it was over my head, so I didn't hit the nasty ass bottom of the lake. But I came up and Wes grabbed the rod. I still had the rod in my hand. He was like, here, let me get the rod. So he grabbed the rod and I swam around to the back of my boat, lowered the swim ladder, and I got up in the boat. I took my shirt off and my shorts off and I wrung them out and I put them back on. And I was a little bit chilly, but we continued to fish. We caught a few decent fish. We didn't catch any monsters, but that was a hell of a night. I'm going back this weekend. Hopefully a monster. I hope I catch a monster. I'm about
Where were y'all at on Wiley?
Was on Wiley, yeah.
You know what I'd like to start doing again? I mean, and I've never really just like purposely done it, but get me a couple of real light spinning rods and do some brim fishing. Listen, brim, pound for pound, probably the best fighting fish in fresh water, in case people don't know.
I do that. I did that last weekend. I do that when I go this weekend. I'll be doing that on Wiley. That's the thing, is on Wiley, you can in the summertime, any shaded spot on the lake, if it's got like some overhanging brush, you could cast I like to use a weighted bobber. That way I can kind of stay off a distance and I can still get some casted distance because the bobber's weighted. I don't have to use a split shot or anything. I just put a weighted bobber on there, about 2 foot, tiny hook, little piece of night crawler. You cast it over some overhanging brush, just about anywhere this time of year on Lake Wiley, and you're going to catch a bluegill within 30 seconds. Like it doesn't take long to fill your tank up with bluegill on Wiley. But the only problem with that is I think they're a pretty good flathead bait. But as far as cut bait, I mean, even when they're alive, even if you're cutting them when they're alive, I just don't bluegill. And when I say bluegill, I mean shell cracker, like all the species of brim. I call them all bluegill. But when it comes to brim, I just don't like them for cut bait. I just haven't had good luck personally using cut brim. Now, don't get me wrong. I would prefer cut brim over like grocery store baits or, but as far as like white perch, mondo, gizzard shad, crappie, even largemouth bass, like brim is like down at the bottom of my list for preferred baits.
I know you're not supposed to use them for bait. And I forgot what the deal is with crappie, or if you can use them if they're cut, but you're not allowed to use them live. But
North Carolina, you can use them as long as you don't chunk them. In South Carolina, you can't use them at all.
Okay, that's what. Well, I know they down at Santee, catfish love crappie. They'll put crappie before they will anyway.
That makes sense because it's illegal to use them in South Carolina. Yeah. You can use them in North Carolina as long as you don't chunk them.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I'll catch an 8+ inch crappie. I know several places where I can go to catch, 8-inch crappie. Normally you don't, even though 8 inches in North Carolina is that's keeper size. That's your size limit, 8 inches. Most crappie fishermen, they'll throw the 8s back because, even though they're keeper size, it's just once you fillet them, there's just really not enough meat. Just let them go. Let them get bigger. But I'll keep those little 8-inch crappie. And what I do to them is I'll knock one side off. I will basically pretend like you're filleting it, to cook it. And I'll go down behind that peg fin and I will knock one side of it off. And then I will trim the tail, trim the dorsal, trim the peg fins. And I got one side of that fillet off that carcass, but that carcass is still intact. And see, that's the thing in North Carolina is that carcass has to be intact. You can't chunk it. You can fillet it. You just can't chunk it. It has to be able to be measured. If it's a measurable fish, if in, by law, if the fish has to be a certain size, then you can't cut the fish. You can fillet it, but you can't cut it. So that's the way I fish the crappie. That's the smaller crappie, the 8 to 9 inch crappie. I love fishing them because I can fish them whole. Are you there, Wes?
Yeah. I'm listening to. I was just reading this regulation about the crappie.
Let's hit the comments.
Now, South Carolina says, we can't use no game fish for bait except brim, but you can't use a red-breasted brim, and I don't even know what that is. I've never seen a red-breasted brim.
See, that's the thing, man. Is you have to be able to tell the difference between a bluegill, a shellcracker, red breast. Like there are all these species of brim, and South Carolina. You can't use that red-breasted brim. And you know what? That's why I like white perch so much.
Yes.
There's no regulations on them. Like you can catch them in a cast net. You don't have to worry about that. It's totally legal to catch white perch in a cast net. You can catch them on sabiki rigs. It's not really that hard to find them. Now, if you're doing a quick trip, like a lot of the trips that I do, I might not leave the house till 10 o'clock at night. I'm getting on the lake maybe 11 o'clock, a little bit before 11. I'm fishing till maybe 2 to 3 a.m. Now, if you're on a limited time crunch, you can't really use the perch. But if you could get out.
JR, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's go to Santee next weekend.
Why would we go to Santee when you have you got a trophy catfish lake in your backyard in Hartwell?
No, come on now. Hartwell's nothing like Santee Cooper if you want to catfish. Come on.
Santee Cooper, listen. Show me some recent pictures of trophy catfish on Santee. You can't. Santee, it's in your head. It's not what it used to be. It's no longer a guaranteed you're going to catch a big fish when you go to Santee.
There's nothing guaranteed.
Well, that's true, but I don't. I feel like that we could have just as much luck as catching a trophy catfish on Hartwell as we do.
Yeah, but Hartwell's not. Man, it's just being down there. It's just a different atmosphere. It's
Well, I agree.
Your chances are a whole lot better at Santee than it is at Hartwell. I mean, you say
I don't know, Wes. I feel like we got it. We all of us, me, you, my buddy Alan. All of us fishermen, we have this stigma.
Hey, hold on, do me a favor. Send Thomas Walker an invite.
Okay.
Thomas J. Walker. Y'all friends, I think.
Hey, aren't you are you on your phone or your laptop?
I'm on my phone, but it won't let. I can't send invites no more for some reason from my laptop. I don't know why.
Well, I definitely can't from my desktop without logging into Facebook first. I can try. I'll try to log into Facebook.
It says Wesley Oliver's on here.
Wes, that's you.
No, that's Wesley Oliver.
Oh, Wesley Oliver.
Yeah.
Oh, hey Wes. He said, and the catfish love them white perch at Wiley because they're just as abundant as crappie and brim. Yeah, I mean, I would say they're more abundant than crappie and brim. Wiley is man, there's so many white perch in Wiley and Norman. It is absolutely ridiculous. They're just everywhere.
I'll tell you something else about a white perch too, and I don't give a damn what nobody says on here. I've eaten both and eat a lot of them. And if you put a white perch and a crappie side by side and cook them both the same way, you can't tell the difference in them.
I agree. No, I mean, I actually, I think white perch are better than crappie, and I am in the minority. Most guys will tell you that crappie are better than white perch. I totally 100% disagree. A white perch tastes much better than a crappie. A white perch is in the striper family. It's in the marone family. The reason people say that is just it's because their grandpa crappie fished. I'm sorry, but white perch is better than a crappie. And a lot of people hate white perch because they're so aggressive. They eat everything. I've actually heard of bait guys taking white perch and putting in their tank, in their herring tanks to like clean it up because they'll eat like all the poop and stuff. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, I believe it because I mean, you can catch white perch on anything. You can catch a white perch and you could take cut bait from the white perch and catch more white perch. Like
now this
they'll
Wesley
eat
Oliver. Oh, I'm sorry, Junior. I thought you was done.
Yeah,
This
that's
Wesley
Alan's
Oliver,
brother.
I've never heard Alan say anything about him having a brother.
Yeah,
Must-
yeah,
must
yeah.
be for him.
He's got a brother. Wes is a beast, dude. You know, you talk about how I'm a good fishing partner.
Yeah.
Wes is like me. He's a good fishing partner. That some gun is. You ain't got to tell him. You know what I mean? He knows. Like we went fishing the other night, and
Does him and Alan ever fish together?
yeah. They fish
Okay.
together. Yeah, they have. Yeah, Wes knows what to do. He's one of those. He's one of us.
Well, good deal.
Thomas J. Walker said, "I'll be brim fishing in the AM. I need bait bad." Yeah, you must need bait pretty bad to be brim fishing, brother. I think that that's pretty much the general consensus is the hierarchy of like bait. If you're a bait fisherman, cut bait fisherman, I think that a live gizzard shad, I think, is probably the best. I mean, you could say a live skipjack. You know, I like cutting them alive, and a live skipjack, like a live 12, 14 ounce, 1 pound skipjack would be pretty hard to beat for cut bait. But, everywhere don't have skipjack, but everywhere's got gizzard shad. And anybody that has caught Mondo gizzards and cut them, used them for cut bait, I'm sure they can attest to their success using fresh cut Mondo gizzards. Is hard, very hard to beat.
Did you send Thomas an invite?
Not yet.
No. Well, but
I'm sending it now.
All right.
Boom. Sent.
All right, Thomas, you got an invite. You know how to do it.
Thomas Fish. He said, "I disagree with everything you're saying, JR." So evidently, Thomas, you must brim must be one of those guys that put brim at the top of your favorite baits.
Well, I guess for flathead it is, isn't it?
Yes, for flathead, because they have a high thermal tolerance, like you were talking about before, how the one stayed alive in an inch of water.
Yeah.
They don't really require that much dissolved oxygen. They have a higher thermal tolerance than the other fish. So they're up on the bank in the summertime when the water is just too hot for anything. And then you got your big predator flatheads that are coming up into that hot water and feeding on those brim that are coming up into that.
Uh-oh.
You got to turn your volume down, Thomas.
Oh, I know. I got to turn my camera on.
Oh, Lord. Thomas is on that Waterloo Wireless, y'all.
Hey, I got Waterloo Wireless now. Mind your business.
Hold on.
I probably got it.
I ain't got no video. The hell?
No video.
No video. No camera.
What have you done?
I don't know. Hold on, let me switch here.
Maybe you should go out and come back in.
Let me try.
Anyway, Joe, you know what I think I might do?
What?
I might just start catfishing in the summer when I do fish, and then just go back to striper fishing about October.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think that the summertime is very underrated. Blues. There's Thomas.
There he is.
There he
What's
is.
going on?
I think the summertime is underrated, Thomas. Do you think the summertime is underrated for trophy blue catfish or even flatheads versus the fall?
Trophy blue catfish, yes.
Yes,
Extremely.
extremely. I agree.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Your statement about brim this time. I mean, every bait fish is good for certain times of year and different bodies of water, obviously. Brim right now, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, the King Cat last year, we did not last year, 2 years in August, we smacked a 75-pounder off a shell cracker first thing in the morning.
Blue?
Yeah, yeah.
Live or cut?
He was cut. He was cut first thing in the morning. That was our first drag of the morning. Deep popped him. About 7:25 in the morning. 75-pound blue.
JR, do you remember the tournament that we went down there to fish with? And Thomas and them. Thomas was fishing in it. We were staying at Black's.
You talking about when we fished with what's his name?
Yeah, the guy that built my enclosure.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Thomas and D was trying to be slick. They wouldn't even tell me where they were fishing at. So
Yeah.
you know, we didn't weigh nothing in.
They won that tournament, didn't they?
Yeah, they won that tournament.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, we went ghost.
You remember we left early. We didn't even go to the weigh-in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, guess who I passed? Leave it.
I don't weigh in.
Who?
He knows who.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I called him. I said, "Where are you at?" And he said, "I'm on my way to the weigh-in." I said, "Where are you at now?" And he said, "We on the road." I said, "No, where are you at now? What road you on?" And he didn't want to tell me. I said, "Thomas, I just passed you a few minutes ago, buddy. I know where you was."
I told you, and I told you to come to the weigh-in, man. We had a hell of a bag. I did tell you that.
Yeah, I was, but I was done already that far. I was like, "Hell, I'm going on home."
Well, we filmed that. Was it the first day? I filmed.
You filmed the first day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you filmed the first day, but I think you filmed another one for us at another time. I think you were down another time. You filmed something for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
What was that guy's name? Thomas, what's that guy's name we fished with? He built my cabin. I don't know why I can't think
Brian
of his name.
Snipes.
Brian Snipes.
Yeah, Brian Snipes. Yep.
Dude, he had his boat decked out.
We had an absolute blast. You know,
Yes,
that was
he's a really nice guy too. I enjoy talking with him. I don't get to see him often because I don't fish that southeastern trail often.
Yeah.
The only time I do get to see him is when he comes down around Santee, and I haven't even been down to Santee since April.
So is what JR said true? Santee's not worth going to no more?
I didn't say that.
I'm going to tell you right now, with all that, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you exactly what Santee's all about right now. You want to catch a lot of fish, go to the lower lake, go around 19, set up on that little hump on the left-hand side, and wear them out because that current is flowing like you wouldn't believe right now. And where are the fish going? Right into the current.
But Thomas, whoa, pump the brakes, Thomas. Pump the brakes, Thomas.
We're talking about
pump the brakes. We don't give a shit about catching quantity. Now we're talking about quality.
JR, you're going to talk about quality.
Now, is that where you want to go if you're targeting quality? I want to talk about quality. I've caught a lot of big fish.
Go to the current. That doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where the bait's going. Bait's going into the current. What's going to follow the bait? The fish.
So you're saying that
fish are just going to hang around somewhere where there's no bait?
So you're saying the place you're talking about to go wear them out is also the place to go catch a big fish?
Right now, mouth of the canal. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You'll put some decent fish in the boat. Are you going to put a 90-pound fish in the boat? I mean, your guess is as good as mine.
That's where I caught my 81-pounder in the summer in the mouth of the canal about 2:00 in the morning.
Thomas, what
this time? You got all that water coming down. All that water's coming down. All that bait's running right up into that current. I don't care if you're on the upper lake or you're the lower lake.
That's anywhere.
You find some seams. You find some spots where you got a little slack water. The fish are going to be there. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out.
Well, I mean, that's anywhere. Now
you go to Hartwell. Okay, you're talking 4 foot low. Okay, even going out brim fishing isn't easy right now on Hartwell. You got to fish most of the brim are 15, 20 feet deep right now. We've got no bank. You know what I mean? All that bank where you got all that overhang, like you were talking earlier. You're talking about the overhang, and you can hit them shade spots and nail them. I mean, obviously you're going to want to look for timber. But I mean, half the creeks don't even have timber in them anymore. I mean, the creeks that do, the timber's low, and the fish aren't underneath them anymore because the timber's on the bottom. If you
Mhm.
can find timber that's an overhang that's coming down, yeah, you're gonna catch maybe one good bull off of it.
Mhm.
But you know, the brim. We were out the other day, me and D, and I think we popped 10 brim in one creek, and then after that, the other 2 creeks we went to, they were dead. I mean, dead. And then we noticed the brim were in 20 feet of water. We were downlining for them, and I mean, damn, we were pulling up brim a little bigger than our hooks. It was ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
You
But
know, I mean,
those brims you caught initially, they weren't in 20 feet of water. They were in shallow water, correct?
no, the bulls when they're on wood, you know, and I mean, if they're
Yeah.
going to be laying on lay downs on wood, there's going to be a
Right.
good. It was before the new moon, so you understand what you know. After the new moon, that shit changes. You know, you got to realize brim are they're going to go spawn on new moon and full moon. Okay. The brim don't stop spawning until it gets, you know, it's right now it's hot. I mean, they're going to spawn.
That's what's weird about the brim is they spawn multiple times a year. Whereas if you're talking about like striped bass, for example, you're looking at once a year.
And I'm going to be honest with you. You know, you're talking about Mongo gizzard shad. Go pull a Mongo gizzard shad down to Santee right now. See how good you do. You know,
that's trophy catfishing though.
You may get some takers on it right now, but
you're not going to catch quantity.
Not where it's at.
If you're slinging missiles, you're not catching quantity. You might get skunked. You might get skunked.
I'm talking about a 45-pound and over fish. You're not going to see much of it right now. Not with a Mongo gizzard.
Well, but you're not going to see much of a 45 plus.
I won't
anything.
Even gizzard shad until like the second week of October.
The second week of October. I've had a lot of luck. I've had luck on them in August. You know,
it depends on the weather. You know, if it starts getting colder, August for me, for Santee, nah.
As far as like what bait to use during what time of year, like everybody says that you want to go with whatever's in season. So April, when the crappie are on the brush spawning, you know, that's when it's time to use crappie. And you know, brim.
When you say Hartwell is
you know what I say? I say whatever big live bait you can catch is the best bait. I mean, as far as trying to match them season for season,
let me tell you something. It depends on the time of year, and I'm going to tell you right now, an elephant will eat a peanut, bro.
That is true. That is true. But it's
on pressure, barometric pressure.
Let me ask you this, Thomas.
Everything has a lot to do with fishing, bro.
Let me ask you this, Thomas. The majority of large fish, let's say, for example, 50+ pound Arkansas blue catfish. What would you say they were caught on? Would you say they were caught on peanuts, or would you say they were caught on large baits?
Depends on what time of the year.
I'm gonna say most of my fish that are over 50 pounds.
No, I'm not talking about you anecdotally, but go ahead. I'd like to hear your personal experience as well. But I want to know what is your opinion on.
So I want to speak for myself.
Just large fish in general. What would you think?
I mean, you know, as far as cut bait goes, you know, a 4-inch to 6-inch piece, man, has always been banner. You know what I mean? I can't see really dragging anything bigger than that unless you're tournament fishing. You know what I mean? Where you're literally looking for 3 bites during the course of a day. Mm-hmm. This time of year, I'm not going to drag an 18-inch freaking gizzard shad. But you give me November, December, yeah, I'll drag an 18-inch fall.
You know, an 18-inch gizzard shad. I'm never going to drag an 18-inch gizzard shad. I
sure will.
I'm going to keep an 18-inch gizzard shad alive in my bait tank until I'm ready to use it, and then I'm going to cut it in half. I might only get 2 baits out of it, maybe 3 baits out of it, but I'm going to drag cut bait if I have an 18-inch gizzard shad. I'm not going to drag an 18-inch live gizzard or dead gizzard shad.
You also don't tournament fish, so you're not also looking to, you know.
No, but I've caught my fair share of 50+ pound catfish, and
I mean, I can tell you right now, I can tell you that tournament that we were talking about that I won, that was a December tournament. You better believe I was dragging Jamie K's gizzard shads. That's a fact.
So Mondo gizzards?
You're damn straight.
Were they alive?
No. No.
So you're not cutting. You're dragging 15+ inch dead gizzard shad without being cut?
Oh no, I cut them, but I cut them a certain way.
Okay, well then you're really not doing anything different than what I'm doing. Mine are just maybe slightly smaller than yours, but you're it's not like you're pulling, because you're not, especially if you're anchor fishing, you're not going to keep a 15+ inch Mondo gizzard alive on the bottom on any reservoir, really.
I'm going to tell you, I very rarely anchor fish. I mean, anchor fishing I'll do on Hartwell. But when I'm in Santee, I like to be on the move. The only time I'll anchor in Santee or spot lock on Santee if I'm in an area that's got extremely heavy structure and I know there's some hosses there.
Let me ask y'all a question. Y'all big time catfishermen. Do y'all know what a Santee cut is?
Oh yeah.
Tell Gerald what a Santee cut is.
I mean, everybody, you're going to be talking about Coyle's Santee cut, or you're going to talk about a Santee cut?
No, how do
you just lay the side off of it?
Yeah, when you take a whole bait, what's the Santee cut if you're going to drag him?
You're going to flay the whole side off him?
No.
Were you going to flap him?
No. Yeah, no. You start at the tail on one side, cut him all the way up to his gill, hook him through his eye, and then take that meat that you cut, fillet, fold it over, and hook it around the hook too.
Yeah, see, I don't like doing that because it does this in the water. That's what it does in the water. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's a good anchor bait. not a good trolling bait.
That's what swivels are for.
Any bait that's going to catch the water and cause drag, you don't want to troll.
When I'm dragging
baits like that for 20 years, caught thousands of fish.
I mean,
you're
going to catch fish like that, but for me, I want to present my bait naturally. Like I want it to look as natural as possible in the water.
I think
I want it to look like it's swimming. That's like I'm another person that I don't go by 0.3. Everybody says, "Oh, you got to drag at 0.3." You think those bait fish are moving at 0.3? I got a 70-pound blue behind me, man. You're damn straight. I'm not moving at 0.3.
Right.
So
I think what Wes is referring to is when he hooks it that way, it does cause movement.
Absolutely. But the problem with that is it's gonna spin. Yeah, and even using a swivel, it's still going to spin. It's not looking natural.
It's going to spin for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I've caught a shitload of fish cutting.
I think that might not necessarily be a bad thing for flathead.
If you're dragging super slow, I wouldn't drag for a flathead. That's another thing. I don't ever drag.
Well, if you're dragging a point and you got live bait, or you got a bait that's spinning, or you got a fillet that still has the tail attached, there's going to be some movement on that line, and your chances of catching a flathead are going to be increased. So you can catch a pretty decent flathead, using that tactic. But yeah, I wouldn't be trolling with it hooked that way, because you're right, it's going to be causing a lot of spin. You better have some braid main line, or
if you're suspend fishing, I could see using that style if you're suspend fishing. Or if you're dragging super slow. I mean, I'm talking 0.1, 0.2. I mean, anything over that, I mean, you're literally moving. I mean, I just can't see the constant rotation like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, I don't. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, this time of year, I like using live bait. You know what I mean?
Aren't you local to Hartwell, Thomas?
Yeah, I'm going to Hartwell in the morning. I'm going to catch some bait, and Ricky Harkness is throwing a big tournament on Hartwell tomorrow night.
Oh, really?
So we're going to wind up fishing that. And I haven't been on the lake. I've been on the lake twice this year. I know.
That sounds exciting.
The only reason why we're going to go and do it, we're just doing it to support Laricki. I mean, he's putting it together and everything.
100%. I wish I would have had a little bit of a heads up, or I would have probably went down there and fished it, but I've already made plans. So
right on. We're gonna go hero or zero.
That's the only way. We're
gonna have nothing.
That's the only.
But I mean, that's August. That's August weather. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not good at chasing blues on Hartwell. Yeah, I can sit on a creek run and I can catch a couple blues. But
it's a southeastern reservoir. We've had a crap ton of rain, so they've been pulling a lot of water. So would you?
CJR, you've had a crap load of rain. We don't have a crap load of rain. We're down 4 feet right now.
But that rain's coming, bro. It's coming. How long is it going to take to reach you?
I don't know.
About 2 days. It'll be down here in about 2 days.
I think I'd be.
I'm going to tell you this. when it's down here in 2 days, I won't be fishing this lake again probably till next year. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
well you're fishing it Friday, so I would find
Yeah.
out if the rain's there. I'd find out if they're really pumping water through there, because I'm gonna go ahead and tell you we have had torrential. We got Hurricane Debbie on the coast of Florida, and we've had
Yeah, but see,
torrential downpours.
that's
in
going down a
South
whole different chain of lakes. That's not coming down the Savannah side. That's going down the Catawba side.
the
Look at
Catawba.
that fat bitch, Junior.
Catawba.
Man, here we go with Wes and his 1999 Polaroid pics from Santee.
Beautiful
that
fish.
was
Bragging board on Santee.
2002.
Yeah.
Beautiful fish, Wes.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2002. I
Look
apologize.
how young I was.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wes is like fucking 30 years old right there.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Wes, you and I would have probably been best friends if I'd met you. We'd
That
be
was
like,
that was Harry's fish count.
we'd probably like neither one of us would be married. We'd probably be roommates, and we'd probably like just be fishing.
I mean,
all the
can
time.
I say that Santee is definitely declined over the past couple of years? Yes. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean,
I think all our fisheries have declined, Thomas. Really.
yeah, I think that the commercial fishery is really doing a hell of a job on these lakes. I'm not gonna lie, they're taking fish left and right. Plus, everybody that catches a big fish, they throw it over their shoulder, they walk it around, bring it into town, walk it through Walmart. You know what I mean?
They don't know what, take a picture and let it go, man. Just like that fish I put on the wall. I couldn't wait to get in there and take my picture with that fish. And I gave it to I don't know if he tried to eat that fish or not. He used to be a game warden, kind of an old guy, wore glasses, stayed at Harry's, him and his wife.
I mean, that's
You might
half
know
of
if I
Harry's.
remember his name. Yeah, he stayed at Harry's fish count, but
Old guy with glasses. That's half of Harry's, bro.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But I should have put that fish back. I shouldn't have kept that fish.
I'll tell you who's the biggest advocate for CPR, and that's Wes. Wes likes me to come with him on these striper trips,
Earl.
saltwater or freshwater.
Wes,
But,
Ralph said Earl.
I'm like,
Earl Turney. Earl
gotta-
Turney.
we
Yep.
got to make a video, Wes.
said that?
I need to get a
Ralph
video
Wiley.
shot of this fish.
Ralph, you know who I'm talking about? Earl Turney. Yeah, he's had a wife named Julia. Yeah, I gave those fish to Earl. Hey, and then listen, I was coming out of the restaurant, just eating breakfast. Mike had just took those pictures for me, and he was the guy running Harry's at the time. And another guy come up to me, he said, "Where'd you catch those fish at?" And I said, "Down there on the canal, toward the end of the canal." And Earl come over there and he said, "Shh. Don't tell these fools where you caught them fish." I said, "Why not?" He said, you won't be able to fish there no more." And I said, "Oh, okay." So we walked on in the restaurant, we sat down, and Earl come over and he said, "Now, where did you catch them fish at?" But Earl used to be a game warden. His name was Earl Turney.
Earl Turney. That's like
Appreciate
anything
that,
right now.
Ralph.
I mean, even like tournament fishing, man. I mean, I try not to go back to the same spot anymore. I mean, 'cause it winds up, same people are at the spot that you were at. Next thing you know, people hear you're there, they're there. So we try to hop around. We were just in Mississippi, and we got a rude awakening after day one down there. The area that we were fishing got outed the month before on the Mississippi pages, and we had no idea. And we went up in that area and we fished that area. Meanwhile, it was dead zone. I mean, dead zone.
Thomas, you've caught a lot of big fish. What would you say is the number one determining factor of catching big fish? Because me personally, if someone asked me that question, I would say it's all about the bait. I would say it's all about choosing where to fish, being able to throw out 10, at least 8 to 10 large, fresh, cut them while they're alive baits. Whether
You're talking about what bait you're using is what makes the difference.
Whether it's gizzard shad, white perch, crappie, brim, whatever the bait is, it's got a lot to do with the amount of bait, the freshness of the bait. But what would you say would be the number one determining factor for catching large fish consistently on any given reservoir?
Knowing your body of water and knowing where all the structure is.
So fishing the structure is more important. Is the most important.
No, I didn't say that, but you asked me what I would think would be the number one thing to look for is knowing the body of water you're on and knowing the structure that's there.
Is that it?
And obviously number two would be bait. I mean, bait is always key. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to fish in the bait? No, I don't. I don't want to fish in the bait. I never. I mean, when your fish finder's lit up, I don't want to compete.
No,
Right.
You know, I don't want to compete with all that bait, but I'd like to get in between that bait and structure. You know what I mean? I like to be in between it where I know if I know something's there. You know, you don't always know something's there.
Now,
Or,
what about when it comes to current? Like right now, we've had a lot of rain. They're moving a lot of water through the Catawba system. So if I were to go fish the Catawba, the way I look at like Wiley, for example, if I were to go fish Lake Wiley, I'm going to fish around South Point, which is like mid lake and upper. If there's current, I'm good with mid lake and upper on a southeastern reservoir. If there's current, if we've had a shit ton of rain and they've moved a lot of water through that system, and they've things have kind of settled in and everything's kind of acclimated, they're not really running that much water anymore. Then I'm going to the southern portion of that lake. I'm going to go to the lower lake where I feel like a lot of the plankton and a lot of the food chain has been pushed down to the lower because of all the current. And I'm going to leave that midsection where all that current is alone if they've stopped running water. But if they're running water and it's like a river condition, I'm mid lake to upper river portion all day. Are you like that when it comes to a southeastern reservoir like Hartwell?
Well, I mean, if there's current coming in, I mean, anybody will tell you if the rain and the water's rising, where's the first place you're going to go? You're going to go to creeks. I mean, that doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the bait's coming in. I mean,
so you would choose a creek over the main channel where there's the majority of the current. You would want to shoot up into a creek.
If there's water, if there's fresh water coming in, yes.
Can I show y'all a picture? I can't see if y'all can make out who the hell this is. Everybody thought it was me, but
That's Scott Perry.
what's he holding up there?
Catfish.
He's holding up catfish.
Where at?
What? Hills Landing.
Damn.
What the
God, I had
hell?
to, buddy. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Everybody's got to
Oh
start.
my
something.
God, he's been like keeping. Look at it. Look at him.
How young you are.
Yeah, that's striper era. That's when he
Yeah.
was striper fishing. Look at him holding them down catfish at Hills Landing over there at the bragging board.
Yeah, but I like water. I like current. I can't stand a lake that has no current. That's one of the things that I hate.
But
about
what gets me though is you're hitting the creeks. Why are you hitting the creeks instead of staying in the main where the current's at, where the majority of the current is?
Well, you got the majority of the current. I mean, it depends. It depends on the river system. I'm not familiar with Wiley. I don't know how that operates, man. I really don't.
Well,
On
I think
main
Hartwell's
main
compared.
river, you know.
Yeah.
But Hartwell's got, he's got kiwi that comes in and it's got Tougaloo that comes in. But I know every time it rains, I'm going to the creek. Right after it rains and then that water's coming in, I'm going to the creek.
So are you
Now,
going to a major creek on the upper
above-
end of the lake?
And it's not natural rain here. Like all this rain is supposed to be coming down or whatever, but we don't have it here. And it's only will be coming from two spots, which is going to be the Tougaloo and the Seneca. Then it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where I'm going to fish. I'm going to go up in the rivers. But if it's going to be heavy rain here and say we got 2 inches in the next 3 days, I'm fishing the creeks. All that bait's going to be in the creek because all that bait's they're not going to sit in that current. They're going to be up in
it's
the
going to
creeks.
wash
They're
them up
gonna
in
be-
the creeks. That makes
They're
sense.
going to be eating like crazy.
That makes sense. I like
Yeah.
that. That's why
And then the big fish are going to come right in with them.
that's why we invite you on the show. All right. Well, Wes, it's been a good show, brother. You want to sign us out?
No.
Damn.
No. No. Yeah, but I mean, just like when you were saying that you didn't like, Brian. I mean, I'd love to be able to use crappie here. Crappie is freaking awesome. I'd love to be able to fish with crappie, but I can't here in South Carolina. I
Right.
guess it's September 1st. I'm going up to the James River, and I'm gonna
Oh, epic.
Christian Moore, And I guess we're going to be, all we're doing is catching catfish, and we're
Christian
bringing them to-
Moore is he's a Catawba guy, right? He fishes the
He's,
Southeastern.
He's a James River guy. No, he's James River.
Oh, I'm thinking of Christian Mathis. My bad. Okay.
Santee's better than the James River any day.
No, it's not.
What is?
Not anymore. No.
We're
This ain't-
only going up there to
This
tag
isn't
fish.
the 80s. This isn't the 70s, 80s, 90s. This is today.
What they're
and
trying to do
the
is
James
eradicate
River's
the
king.
blue cat from the James River.
They are. They sure are.
And we're going
They're
up
gonna
there
get their
to
way
catch
to
them, bring them to the biologist. They're gonna scan their stomachs. They're gonna tag them, and then they're gonna release them back into the water. We're trying to prove that they're not eating the blue cat, the blue crabs.
The blue crabs. Right.
They're,
That's
they're,
correct.
they're going to do away with. I believe they'll get their. If it's all about money, and if the
All
right
right.
people
Well-
don't like it with the right amount of money, they'll eradicate them.
Well, good luck
But
because
you
the
gotta- you
commercial
gotta realize-
fishermen are catching thousands every day. So,
There's a lot of people involved in this right now. This whole game. I don't know all the ins and outs of all of it. I was asked if I would go up and help out. And, of course, I'm gonna. I mean, it's gonna. I like to see it get served, and I like to be able to see, that being there in the future for everybody else. I mean, it's not tournament fishing. I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart, just to go up there and see if we can make a change, make a difference.
Mhm.
So,
You're not going to fish while you're up there.
yeah, I'm going to be fishing and bringing the fish to the DNR, and they're going to tag them, and they're going to scan their stomachs and take some blood work from them and send them back.
Awesome. That's awesome. Hey, man, appreciate it as always. You're always an excellent guest on the show, Thomas. Listen, I'm out. Wes, are you going to stay on, or you?
Dude, you going to wait and come on the show early? I stopped my movie because I don't want to leave you on here by yourself, and now you want to get off early. What kind
Yeah,
of shit is this?
I gotta
I
go.
got what?
I gotta run. I got other
got,
things I have to do.
You got what?
I got other things that I have to do.
What you got to do?
Well, for one thing, I have to get up at 5 a.m. I have.
So, JR, you've been on. I've seen you stay on here until 12 or 1 o'clock at night and get up at 5 a.m.
Well, that's when I've had a nap.
You've
When
had
I
a nap.
I haven't had a nap today. So,
All right, I'm gonna let you off the hook.
okay.
Oh, right quick, the reason we wanted you on here, Thomas, JR says that he'd rather fish Hartwell than he had Santee. I tried to tell him.
Listen. Okay. Thomas,
invited him to go to Santee.
would
He
you
wanted to
rather
go.
drive 30 minutes and fish Hartwell to target a trophy blue or flathead, or drive 4 hours to fish Santee?
3 hours. 3 hours. I'm 3 hours from Santee.
I'd rather drive 4 hours to Santee.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
And
Well,
then drive 30 minutes. To
all right,
fish
Wes.
Hartwell.
You won that. You won that debate. Fine. You won.
I mean,
That's
I'm
cool.
going to be honest with you, JR. There's so much about down there too. I mean, the people down there. I mean, everything's just.
It's different.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a
I've
tourist
met
trap
so
for
many
fishermen.
great people.
I get it.
I haven't been down there since April. I'm dying to get back down.
I've been there. I've fished tournaments there. I understand. It's a tourist trap for fishermen. Everybody
Dude,
knows.
hey,
Everybody
when you get on-
knows everybody. It's cool.
When you
There's
get on the
nothing like
lower lake and you're looking right to the dam and the sun rises down there on that lower lake, it's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
I agree.
beautiful.
I agree 100%. Santee is an absolutely wonderous, beautiful.
I guess they got
poetic-
quite a bit of water down there right now. I don't know how my camp's going. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything bad, so I guess my trailer's still there.
The coolest thing about Santee, I like it when you're going
What's
down.
that?
The coolest thing about Santee that I've always liked, I remember the first time I went down there, was when you're going down to the lower lake. When you get out, when you pass that little cypress tree right there on the right, and you go on out, and it's just like the whole world opens up. You come from a river that's about 80 yards wide, and it's like you just go into. It almost looks like a what do you call it? A deep blue. I can't think of the word. It's just like it's endless. You can't see nothing. You can't see land on the other. It's almost like you're going into ocean, into an abyss. It's like you're going into an abyss.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of Santee.
Oh yeah, thank you, Ralph. I appreciate that, man, greatly. And I'm definitely not going to be able to make it down next weekend. I really wanted to. That's why I haven't commented on it, man, because I'm not going to be able to get down there. I don't have anybody to watch my dogs, and it's just not a good time for the family right now. Or else I'd be down there. We're definitely going to be down in September though, and we're definitely going to be fishing the whole season this year.
Awesome. I can't wait to get some more footage with you, Thomas. Wes, are you staying on?
No, I guess I'm on. Hey, Ralph, I didn't even know me and you were friends, but I do appreciate the name because I'd have went to bed tonight trying to figure out Earl's name. And, right after I caught those fish, his wife caught, I think she was like a 65 pound flathead, or no, a 75 pound flathead. And they put her in, and I made Fish and Hunting magazine. Y'all remember when that magazine used to come out?
Mm-hmm.
They put me in that magazine, and I really thought I was somebody when I seen my picture in Fish and Hunting magazine.
That's awesome. Hey, I love you, Wes. Love you, Thomas.
Too,
we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for stopping by the Real Fisherman Show.
Hey,
Everybody,
hold on, JR. Next weekend, Santee, right?
Is that right, Thomas?
No, I'm talking to you.
Are you
I'm
talking to me?
I can't.
Next
I
week in
can't.
Santee? I don't know. Let's talk about it. We'll talk.
They got a
No,
tournament down there next weekend. They got a coffee can going on down there. Ralph Wiley's putting a coffee can
Hey,
tournament
if
on.
you want to, yeah, more than likely, Wes. That sounds like a good plan.
No, sir, I can't. I got my mother's not going to be in town, so I don't have anybody to watch my dogs, and I got a couple other things going on.
Just bring your dogs. Just bring your dogs, guy.
I can't.
Okay.
I've got one's blind, man. He can't even see. I'm not going to bring him down there.
Okay. All right, understandable.
He's
All right.
got no eyes. You've seen both my dogs, Wes.
All right, guys. See you next week. Good night, everybody.
Wes,
Yeah.
This fall we'll do something, man.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna hold you to that. See you
Don't
next
forget.
week on Real Fisherman, everybody. Good night.
All right, man.
Peace out.